Okay, last week we covered 15 upcoming Souls-like games that look pretty exciting, but what about the Souls-likes we already have? Some are obvious classics like anything coming out of FromSoft, but then there's others that you might not even know about. How's it going, guys? I'm Liam, this is Instant Gaming, and today we're looking at 12 of the most underrated Souls-like games right now. In at number 12, we have Thymesia, and it kind of slipped under the radar, which is wild considering how tight its combat feels. Instead of slow, heavy swings, fights are fast, aggressive, and built around parries that reward confidence. The Plague Doctor aesthetic gives it that distinct identity too, and yeah, it is short, but that actually works in its favor. No filler, no wandering aimlessly for hours, just sharp encounters and satisfying boss fights that respect your time while still testing your reflexes. Give it a go and let me know what you think in the comments. In at number 11, we have Rise of the Ronin, and this game is clean. The combat is weighty and feels so satisfying. So Rise of the Ronin doesn't always get credit as a Souls-like, but yeah, like I said, the combat absolutely earns it a spot here. Timing, stamina management, and weapon mastery matters in every fight. The open world adds freedom without completely abandoning challenge, and sword fights feel grounded and deliberate. It leans more towards action than punishment, which probably explains why Souls purists overlook it. Still, when the combat clicks, it delivers some genuinely intense samurai showdowns. At number 10, we've got the Surge 2, and it deserves way more love than it gets. Its limb targeting system changes how you approach every fight, turning combat into this strategic dissection rather than simple damage trading. Want better gear? Aim for it, literally. The sci-fi setting also helps it stand apart from endless medieval gloom. It's smoother, smarter, and more confident than the first game, yet somehow still feels overlooked whenever Souls-likes are discussed. Coming in at number 9, we have another Crab's Treasure, and this game is so ridiculous, but it just works. Yes, you play as a crab, and no, it's not a joke. Another Crab's Treasure mixes colourful visuals with surprisingly legit Souls mechanics. Shells act as armor, enemies hit hard, and bosses demand real learning. The humor lowers your guard before the difficulty reminds you exactly what genre you're playing. It's creative, charming, and way deeper than it first appears. Easily one of the most pleasant surprises in recent Souls-like history. Over at number 8 is Salt and Sanctuary, and it feels like someone flattened Dark Souls into 2D and somehow kept the soul, pun intended, intact. Exploration is dense, builds are flexible, and combat carries real weight despite the side-scrolling perspective. It's brutal, moody, and packed with secrets. And it's that typical Souls-like where there is zero hand-holding, which makes discovery feel like you actually did something. For players who love Souls design but want something faster and more compact, don't sleep on this one. It will surprise you. Mortal Shell is slower and more deliberate than most Souls-likes, and that's exactly why it works. The hardening mechanic adds a unique defensive layer that changes how you approach combat. Instead of constant dodging, fights become calculated standoffs. The world feels eerie and mysterious, even if it's smaller in scope. It may not be massive, but it's focused, atmospheric, and confident in its ideas. Code Vein gets dismissed as anime Dark Souls, which undersells how flexible its systems actually are. The class-switching blood code mechanic encourages experimentation without forcing restarts, making builds surprisingly accessible. Combat is fast, bosses are memorable, and the companion system softens difficulty without removing challenge entirely. Beneath the flashy aesthetic, it is a genuinely solid Souls-like that deserves more recognition than it usually gets. In at number 5, we have Steel Rising, which takes the French Revolution and adds clockwork robots, which already earns points for originality. Combat feels deliberate, with stamina management and weapon variety, encouraging careful play. It's slightly rough around the edges, but the setting carries a lot of charm. Fighting mechanical aristocrats through alternate history Paris feels refreshingly different from typical fantasy ruins. Not perfect, but far more interesting than many people gave it credit for. In at number 4, we have Titan Souls, stripping the formula down to its bare essentials. One arrow, one hit kills, and bosses that demand precision. Every fight feels like a puzzle wrapped in a duel. There's no leveling, no grinding, just skill and observation. It's minimalistic, but incredibly intense. Winning feels less like victory and more like solving a riddle under pressure. Short, brutal, and strangely elegant. In at number 3 is Black Myth Wukong. It grabbed attention for its visuals, but the combat deserves so much more praise than it gets. Boss fights are demanding, animations feel weighty, and abilities encourage experimentation rather than repetition. It walks the line between action spectacle and Souls-like discipline surprisingly well. Some players focus on the lack of hype it has now, but ignoring all of that, it genuinely has one of the most satisfying combat systems in Souls-like games. In at number 2, we have Lies of P, and it shocked a lot of people by being genuinely excellent instead of merely inspired by Bloodborne. Tight parrying, clever weapon customization, and strong level design make it feel confident rather than derivative. The dark fairy tale tone works beautifully, and bosses consistently push players to improve. And the reason it's on this list is because it doesn't just imitate the genre, it builds on it. It proved new studios with fresh ideas can stand shoulder to shoulder with the best. And finally, at number 1, we have the newer Lords of the Fallen. This game quietly redeemed the franchise. Its dual world mechanic adds constant tension, letting players shift between realities to uncover paths and survive encounters. Combat is tough, exploration is rewarding, and the atmosphere leans fully into dark fantasy without apology. Early skepticism kept many players away, but those who gave it a chance found one of the most ambitious non-FromSoft Souls-likes out there. And that is 12 of the most underrated Souls-like games right now. What's your favorite Souls-like and why isn't it Elden Ring? Let me know down in the comments. So for all things gaming, don't forget to subscribe to Instant Gaming, and for great deals on games, you can check out our website at instant-gaming.com. And as always, thanks for watching.